Good morning, grade 5s. I hope you are well. Today we are going to be doing NST, so I want you to get your NST textbook as well as your workbook ready for me. Now let's start off by opening on page 86. Now let's quickly read our keywords. There's a lot of them. Combine means to mix or add or join together. Ingredients is the list of raw materials that are selected to go into a mixer. Processed changes in different ways to get new materials or products with new properties. Products are something new and useful coming out of the process. Mixture is something that is made by mixing things together. Cement is a product made from clay and limestone that becomes hard when mixed with water. Concrete is a mixture of sand, gravel, and cement and water. Reinforced is strengthened with additional materials. Plaster of Paris is a white powder that quickly becomes hard, solid when mixed with water. Paste is a thick mixture of solid and liquid. Dissolve is mixing completely with water. Rural is far from big modern cities where people live off what is available in nature, so they grow their own crops. Now let's read. We combine materials when we put them together in a certain way. In activity 1, we looked at ingredients mixed to make dough. In this unit, we are going to explore, compare, and record the properties of raw materials before and after they are processed. We will use our senses to taste, look at, feel, and smell what they are like. We will also conduct experiments to find out what other properties they have. We can process materials and create many useful products. Look at the examples. So, from the chopped trees, you can make a cardboard box from pine trees. And then here from peaches on a tree, you can make canned fruit. Okay. There are many ways in which materials can be processed. We can mix different materials and set, cook, cool, dry them to create new materials. Okay, on page 87, let's just read the keywords again. Industrial, where products are made by machines or on a large scale. Kiln is a furnace or oven that is used to process material by burning, baking, or drying them. Water resistant does not absorb water, but water can seep through small holes. Mixing and setting. Sometimes we mix certain materials that become hard after we have mixed them. We say that the mixture sets. This property is very useful because we can shape the mixture so that it can set into a particular shape. Cement is an example of a material. Okay, so cement is a material. It's powdery. If you're not sure, it's a powder that you mix with water, and they use it to actually build houses. So that layer in between the bricks, that is cement. Okay. So when cement is mixed with water, the mixture is runny, but becomes hard when it is set. Cement mixtures can be shaped into hollow, circular, and square pillars that can be used to make structures like silos or power stations. When we mix sand, gravel, and cement with water, the material combines and sets to form a very strong material called concrete. Now, concrete is more used for making a flat surface. So, for example, a house is built on a layer of concrete because you cannot start building on sand. Let's say you're at the beach and you start building a house on the beach. Now the sand underneath the bricks will obviously start to move because it is not stick together. So sand moves and the bricks will then move and the house will then fall, obviously. So now what we did is we created concrete. Now concrete is this like a big slab that you will lay down so that the structure that you build on top of it will be sturdy. Okay. Good. Concrete is used for building roads, foundation of pillars and frames, structures of high buildings. It can be reinforced with iron bars when we build dams and bridges. So to make a dam, now for example, dam is like this. So there will be iron rods and things inside, and then they put the concrete to make it a really strong structure so that it won't be able to break. Okay. Plaster of Paris is a very useful material. Plaster of Paris is made from raw materials called gypsum, which is mined from rocks. Gypsum can be heated and ground to form plaster of Paris. It is a white powdery substance that becomes a soft, malleable paste when mixed with water. When the mixture sets, it becomes hard and strong. You can mix plaster of Paris with water to make things, for example, ornaments. So it's more for like people that do arts and crafts really seriously, so you can make ornaments from it. So you know those little statues that you get, some of them are made from plaster of Paris. Okay, so to make ornaments or sculptures like the one in the figure 4, so there's a garden gnome. The soft plaster of Paris is placed in a mold that allows to dry and become hard. It can then be painted. Polyfiller is just like plaster of Paris. It is used to fill up cracks in the wall. When it's mixed with water, it forms a soft, malleable paste that can be squeezed in holes and cracks in walls. When it dries, it becomes hard and strong. So polyfiller is something, it looks similar to plaster of Paris, but it's when you hang a picture. You have to hit a nail in a wall. When you want to take the picture off and you take the nail out, there's a hole in the wall. Now you want to take the hole away, so you put a little bit of polyfiller in, and then you can just paint over it, and it will look like a brand new wall that has no walls, holes in it. Okay, let's go to page 88. Mixing a solid and a liquid into paste. When we mix a little water with a powdery solid, we get a paste. A paste is a stiff mixture of solid and a liquid. When a little water is mixed with flour, it becomes sticky paste that we can use as glue. So you're going to make glue from flour and water. So hopefully you have flour at home. If you don't, it's fine. You can skip this activity. Just try and write some of the work in your book that you can imagine how it is. Okay, so you will need a small container, some flour, water, a nice picture, and newspaper. So you're going to mix, you can follow these instructions. You're basically going to mix the water and the flour together, and it's going to become like a little sticky paste that can then be used as a glue. Okay, so you can do that activity if you have flour. If you don't, it is fine. You can then just skip that activity. Good. Mixing and cooking. When mealies become ripe, their seeds are very hard. The seeds can be ground into flour called maize meal. We do not eat raw maize meal. We cook it to make porridge, which tastes better and is easier to digest. So explore the properties of the ingredients. So now, once again, you will need a small plastic dish, a maize meal, salt, and a plastic teaspoon, and water. So this is only if you have it. If you don't have maize meal at home, it is fine. You can skip the activity. Just try and do some of the writing work. So this activity 3, you are going to use a little paper that looks like this. It is in your purple file. I know it says grade 4 at the top, but I want you to please just cut it off. I don't know why it says grade 4. I made the mistake. But you can just paste this in for question 1 and just fill this in. Even if you can't make the maize meal at home because you don't have maize meal, just think to yourself how it's going to look and try your best to do the activity without doing the experiment then. Okay, so you can just follow the instructions. Remember to use the little paper in your purple file for question 1, and please ask your mom to help you when you make the maize meal, because it can burn and become dangerous. Okay, so okay, now let's have a look at page 90. So, mixing and cooling. Sometimes we mix ingredients for a pudding and then put it in a cool place or a fridge to set or become a solid. For example, we can mix milk, cream and sugar and put it in a freezer to become ice cream. Jelly powder is a mixture of sugar, fruit flavors and gelatin, a substance found in animal joints. Gelatin dissolves in hot water and will set into a solid when it cools. Jelly can be used in any mixture to make tarts, pudding or sweets. Now activity 4 is a fun activity to do if you have jelly at home. If you don't, it's fine. Just try and answer the questions as best as you can. But basically you're going to make jelly. Okay, so you will need hot water, jelly and a dish. Then you're going to have the questions that you can answer in your book. Try your best to answer them even if you can't make the jelly, because I'm sure that you've seen how jelly is made before. Good. Mixing, drying and furring. Another way of processing material is by mixing them and then drying or furring the mixture. This is done to materials like clay to make bricks. In grade 4, you learn that clay is small, smooth particles of broken rock. These clay particles absorb water. When just the right amount of water is mixed into the clay becomes soft, sticky and malleable. In rural areas, bricks are made on a small scale. Straw, dry grass, or animal dung is mixed with the clay to keep the particles together when it dries in the sun. This prevents the clay from cracking when the water evaporates. Clay can be shaped by hand or in molds to make bricks. You can see sun-dried mud bricks in figure A. So in figure A, there is sun-dried mud bricks. So you can see they don't look like normal bricks because they are a little misshaped and they look a little funny. So those are made from mud, okay. In industrial or large-scale brick making, small rock particles are mixed with very fine coal, dust, and water. The coal dust helps spread the heat evenly throughout the brick when they are fired, because they bake them in the oven, okay. Machine compresses the wet clay mixture into the shape of a brick, after which they are dried and fired in a very hot kiln at 600 to 900 degrees Celsius, which is really hot. A kiln is a furnace or oven that dries, bakes, or burns material in order to process it. Now, I want you to understand that the oven you have at home can at maximum go to 300 degrees Celsius, which is really hot to even bake something in. So these kilns goes up to 900 degrees Celsius. So it's really hot to bake these bricks really hard. Okay. This is not done in a kiln because of the heat from the sun is not hot enough to evaporate all the water in the clay. Fired clay is hard and water resistant but brittle. Different temperatures of firing will produce bricks with lighter or darker colors. Okay, now you have to do activity 5. You're just going to write about mixing and drying and furning. So write 5 sentences describing the properties of wet clay and how processes like drying and furning changes sun-dried mud bricks and fired clay bricks. So basically just going to summarize this whole thing that I just read about mixing, drying, and furring. Okay, then almost finished, page 92. Summarizing, combining, and processing raw material. The combination of materials to make products can be shown as a flow diagram. You can read the flow diagram by reading the words and following the arrow. Follow the diagram to show which raw materials are mixed, which process takes place, and which products are manufactured. The products are useful and created for a certain purpose. So plaster of Paris plus water, you need to mix them, then set, then you can make an ornament. So there's polyfillers, cement powder, flour and water, clay and limestone, maize meal and water, jelly powder and clay. So this is everything that we talked about. Now activity 6. Read the flow diagrams. So you're going to read them and then write a sentence in which you name the raw materials, the processes and the products for each of the flow diagrams. So you are going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're going to write 8 different sentences in which you explain that whole process, but in words. Okay, so not using a flow diagram. And then number 3, write what the product in each of the flow diagram is used for. So after you wrote the 8 sentences, you can write it in the same sentence. You're going to say, so ornaments are used for what? And then concrete is used for what? Glue is used for what? Cement, jelly, and things like that. Okay, so that is the end of your activities. So you have a test, a class test, a topic revision that you have to do on page 84 on a separate piece of paper, and then you need to also prepare for the next one on 94 for next week. So this week you only do page 84. Okay, so good luck. Remember, if you have any questions, you can WhatsApp me at any time, or you can leave your questions for our Zoom session. So good luck, guys.